What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today's video is about the African American scammer in Africa and how you all need to watch out for the African American scammers in Africa. Now, I'm talking to African Americans because the African American scammer in Africa, they are targeting other African Americans. All right. Most of these scammers, and by scamming, I mean either they have a illegal business, right, or they have an informal business that they're not experts at, and they are, cheek and tonguing it to profit. You know what I'm saying? They're just making something up, right, as a one-person business, and they're just calling themselves a business in order for you to send them money, and usually in their personal accounts, usually Cash App, or is always some informal account, not like a professional business commercial account where you get a receipt for services rendered and things like that, right? So what we have is a bunch of the current crop of African Americans, right, that are going to Africa. Not the majority, because the majority of African Americans, like the majority, they're not on YouTube, and they're going to various different African countries, and they're starting legitimate businesses where they pay taxes to their state and federal governments within the country, within any country they're operating in Africa, and they're established, and more than likely they would have some sort of government ID or some sort of identifier of authenticity from the state or whatever. Like for me, right? In Nigeria, I operate a agricultural business and a store selling, goods and like a convenience store, right? And I pay taxes to the state of Ekiti State, Nigeria, and the federal government, right? And my business is registered with the state of Ekiti and the federal government, and I make sure that my paperwork and documentation is up to snuff. That way I'm not operating from outside of legality, right? Now, a lot of these content creators, most of them are travel vloggers, right? People who make their money off social media, right? They get to Africa, and most of these people who go to Africa, this is their first time going, right? And they're in shock and awe at the lies told to us by Western world, right? And they are also enthralled and overwhelmed with all the opportunities that they see in Africa, right? And a lot of these African content creators, they're not experts on the continent of Africa, but what they do is, because they have leverage to spend money to fly to various countries, they're simply going on vacation, spending a little bit of time there, and then they figure, oh, I can capitalize on the social media market of pretending to be an expert at a place, right? And then they use the old social media tactic of making a e-course or whatnot. Now, there are some e-courses, right, that some YouTubers put together that actually have value. But the majority of e-courses and these classes are designed to get you to prepay for a course. And when you get in there, they'll just regurgitate the same shallow information that they've been regurgitating on their channels. And then they'll throw in a few extras they failed to mention in their video. So you really don't get too much from these courses. Courses have been one of the biggest schemes and scams on social media, as people come online and pretend to be experts, right? They'll dress the part, they'll look the part, right? Play the part, and then you have, their subscribers who believe it. They will subscribe to them, they'll buy their ebooks because they want to get to where that other person is. But truth be told, a lot of these travel content creators, they're struggling while trying to pretend like they can teach you how to succeed. And if you notice, a lot of them have not been able to produce their personal, success stories and show you, hey, you can duplicate this too. Like, I'm gonna give an example of Austin Holloman, right? Because he's one of the most well-known ones that people consider, I don't consider him so much as a grifter, right, or anything like that, right, or a scammer, but he would be set in the same plane, right? Because he is a travel vlogger who decided they're going to live off YouTube and YouTube revenue. YouTube revenue has changed, so you can't make the bulk of your money traveling around the world, right, while other people live vicariously through you, right? So Austin Holloman, his first claim to fame was more on the passport bro, red pill kind of sector, complaining about African American, women and saying that foreign women are easier to get, right, more respectful, whatnot. And so that was his claim to fame during the height of the red pill and manosphere, and that merged into the passport bros, where the same men who are complaining about the African American women sought alternatives overseas. So the passport bros are an offshoot of FBAs and red pillars who have enough money to travel to various countries. And sometimes these guys don't have enough money to travel, but because of the enthusiasm of this sector, they have been able to coerce and beg their subscribers to give them money to finance their travels overseas. And when it comes to Africa, the ones who were originally financed to go to these countries and basically, participate in adult activities with mostly prostitutes, for the most part. That's what they mostly do. Some of them have tried to change, right, their shows in order to continue to make money off YouTube, right? And so what they have realized is not as easy, so they need alternatives. So some of them may say, okay, I'm an expert. I've been in Africa for this long. I'm an expert. I'm going to teach you what I've done. But if you pay attention, they're all struggling for views that pay them and finance their travel outside of the views on YouTube that pay them for their travel. They cannot demonstrate being a successful business person in Africa outside of YouTube revenue, right? So if you run into an African content creator who is trying to sell you an e-course on how to, have a business and maybe do, what do they call it? What do they call it now when you work for a company, but you live somewhere else on a computer? I forgot the name of it, right? But the nomads who do those type of things, right? Advertising that you can get a business online, a job online that will finance your adventures in Africa. Those are obvious lies, because if that was the case, Austin Holloman would be making revenue outside of YouTube, and he wouldn't have to go live 23 hours out of a 24-hour day in order to sustain his life, right? So people like him, when they get desperate, they look for the ways to make and generate extra income. That's for, you got the courses that are they're overcharging for the courses, right? They got all the different mechanisms at which they can explain that there's some kind of expert, and they're trying to sell that to a group of people who don't know anything, right? And a lot of people fall for this, right? Because they deem these people experts because they see them on TV, right? Which everybody can be on TV now because everybody got a phone, right? So you have to just watch out for it. How you doing, man? All right.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Yes, I'm that guy.
You on YouTube.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes, I know you.
Yeah.
I've seen you on YouTube.
Yeah.
I love your channel.
Thank you, sir.
What you be saying is the truth.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I really mean it.
Thank you very much.
I hope it blows up. More people need to see it.
Thank you, sir. I always talk to people who talk to me. It's only proper, right? These man's out here walking his giant dogs. He got some big old dogs too. But so we have to watch out for those who are so desperate because they put themselves in a situation where they need money. Because Africa it may be cheap in some aspects, but it can be very expensive, right? And so we find ourselves in a situation on social media. There are a whole bunch of content creators writing ebooks and being experts in Africa when in fact they're not experts, right? You got the T3andMe group over there, right, who come off as pleasant, pleasing individuals, right? Now they may be earnest in their desire to have a legitimate business, right? But apparently some of their less than, professional business practices and taking advantage of others have caused them to be put into the scam category. Now, this makes it look bad for everybody else who goes to Africa, right, sees an opportunity and has the empathy to try to give their brothers and sisters, the African Americans, the opportunity to participate in those opportunities, right? We have too many African Americans who go to Africa, right? And because they see the opportunity, but they still want to scam, right? They still want to scam, or they still want to take advantage of the lack of knowledge of African Americans in order for them to take advantage of the African American sentiment to go to Africa and build and develop. Because there's a whole bunch of African Americans in America who have money, right? And they're willing to go to Africa and invest. They want to invest, they want to build, they want to commune, they want to reconnect, they want to leave America and go to Africa, right? And since you have so many African Americans with this sentiment, there's going to be the snakes in the grass who see that as a money-making opportunity. And instead of providing a quality service, right, to be a middleman for these people, because there are quality middleman services that, you know, will help facilitate you. But if you see one that says it facilitates everything, I will be worried about that, right? The only thing I would do for these individuals is if they're offering a vacation package where it gives you the opportunity to explore yourself, right, and explore the opportunities, I may take them up on that offer if the vacation package and what they offer is enough and it justifies the price. Because a lot of these people who are doing vacation tours and things like that, keep in mind, all these things are targeted at African Americans to spend their US dollars in Africa, right? But the money doesn't always go to Africans. It goes back to an African American, right, who's spending it on probably things that are not in Africa. Like, so the money that you spend with some of these groups does not permeate within Africa. So it doesn't benefit African people, right? It only benefits the one African American that you bought tour from, or the corporation that's not an African corporation that's selling tours by paying off local restaurants and hotels bits and pieces of their profit while stacking the rest for their pocket in their pocket. So if I were you, if I wanted to explore Africa, I would use established websites like Orbitz, Priceline, Cheap Tickets, and I would buy a ticket and a hotel package. That's how I would do it. If I advise you, right, the cheapest way to explore Africa, right, to see if it's a place for you, whenever country you go to, is to go on Priceline.com, right, get an insured vacation package, right, by an established corporation that does this professionally, right? I would do that, and I would buy and purchase excursions, if they are available, from the websites, right? This is how you keep things tight, and you keep your money where it can be held accountable just in case something go wrong, right? You go to Priceline, you go to Orbitz, Cheap Tickets, those type of websites, and you purchase, you'll always buy two-way tickets. I don't know why you do not buy a one-way ticket to Africa. You always buy a two-way ticket, make sure your hotel's covered. And as far as cab rides and getting around, you can get around just like any hotel, which is your point of reference, because people stay at hotels, right? The lobby usually have pamphlets of different excursions. The person downstairs in the lobby will give you more information about cool places to go and places not to go than any tourist who've been visiting Africa for several years and they're trying to make money off of you. The cab driver and the front desk receptionist of any hotel you go to will be more informative and will provide you with more value than any African-American expert on YouTube trying to sell you on the fact that they know they can give you a soft landing. There's no such thing as a soft landing in Africa, especially if you want to do business. There's no such thing as a soft landing. You have to go there, and then you have to play dumb when you're there. I advise everyone to play dumb and act like you don't know anything, even if you've done your research, and let people talk so you can see where they're coming from and see what they present to you. Let people run their mouths. The best thing for an African American looking for investment is to go on vacation one time and don't say too much, and walking around and just visually explore. Blend in as best as possible, right? And don't allow anyone to know. Even if you can wear the local clothes, I'd do that. If you really want to blend in, I would buy a few local clothes. I wouldn't wear any dashikis, because dashikis is an African American. I don't know if y'all knew that, but dashikis was created by African Americans. It was our attempt to continue on our clothing culture and connect ourselves with Africa. They don't wear dashikis in Africa unless they're getting it from like some American retailer or some Chinese manufacturer, something like that. So dashikis are usually indicators. If you see a black man in a dashiki, he's probably an American or an African who went back. He's probably raised in America or something like that. So dashikis is an African diaspora clothing style, right, that emulates traditional African clothing. But Africans are wearing dashikis now because obviously, it matches with their culture. But if you're wearing a dashiki in Africa, you are a prime target because they know all African with money. All right, we coming to get you. Now, when it comes to the corruption and and people hitting you with double prices, I know that's a controversy. It's like, man, I'm not trying to get hit with a double price because I'm African American. Listen, any place you go in the world, you're getting hit with double prices because you're an American. It's not unique to Africa. You go to South America, you go to Asia, you're going anywhere you go. When they find out you're a citizen of a prominent country that has lots of money, you will be hit with the double price. Your job as a tourist is try not to pay the tourist price and to get them to pay the goddamn local price. How do you do that? You got to barter, something African Americans are not necessarily used to doing, because in America we have fixed prices, right? So we don't barter as much in order to understand the bartering system, right? Of the rest of a lot of the world does use the bartering system. It's a pretty good system, even though the prices are not set, but you can get a deal. You have to just be strong and be comfortable in bartering, right? Which means you see the price, you just don't accept it. If they gonna overcharge you, guess what? You say no and walk away. I guarantee you, right? If you sit there and you properly barter, learn the art of bartering, right? Then you will walk away with the local price. I walk away with the local price all the time. Simply by being like, no, just looking. There's a whole art to it. You just gotta look nonchalant. You say your pleasantries, you greet each other. Oh, I like your brother. And then after you say your pleasantries and your greetings towards the person trying to sell you something, then you don't look them dead in the eye. You casually look off and you start the bartering process, which can be uncomfortable, but it's it can be tumultuous, but it's all within business, right? You're like, nah, I'm not paying for it. Look nonchalant, but you're about to walk away from it. And once you walk away, guess what? They'll call you back because they rather get the money from you at the local price than not get anything at all. They'll take it. But if you allow them to take advantage of you, they're going to get twice the price. Because businesses on the continent, because we're doing informal and we got the bartering system, they don't have set prices for the products, unless they're a big box store or they're into the set price system, which they are there, right? They can't calculate, the inventory the way everybody else can, because everything's being sold for different prices. There's a whole different system. And that's something you have to get used to. And bartering, like I said, you can get good deals with bartering. All right? Ask, if you want to know what bartering looks like, just look at all the auctions that we have, right? Where you have people kind of like bartering, but one way in a different direction towards, the auction off item. That's kind of similar to bartering, even though they're competing, going up in price for a product. But it's kind of like the same mentality, the same attitude. You see how people are competing for price. But when it comes to bartering for prices, or as a retailer, as somebody purchasing, you're bartering the price down instead of bartering the price up, right? But most of the information, all these African-American grifters who try to manipulate, and then who they really target, they target people who are retired. They target people who have money coming in. They target veterans who got a guaranteed check coming in. They target older folks who got retirement checks coming in. They target people who have reoccurring money coming in that they don't have to work hourly wages for, because those people are the most flexible and they have the most disposable money, and they're usually the most mature and the most serious when it comes to establishing businesses, right? So most of the information that these people are offering with their ebooks is all free information. In the age of Chat GPT, you can ask any question, like what's the local price for hotels in Dakar? You ask Chat GPT what the local price in hotels in Dakar. What's the local price versus the price charged for foreigners? Ask the question. Arm yourself with the information before you go to Dakar. That way you get to Dakar and you're looking for the local hotel price, right? And you find out that it's measuring up to what ChatGPT said or Gemini or whatever, and you can negotiate from a point of information instead of negotiate from a point of ignorance. You don't want to be ignorant when you go to these countries. A lot of African Americans go to Africa unaware of the systems, right? And for some reason they're unaware of the lack of development in certain places, and they're unaware of why the places are lacking in development, right? They're unaware that the country that they just came from that the money that they just spent, that US dollar, right, and the reason why they're able to go there and have so much leverage in these countries is directly because of the institution of discrimination and disenfranchisement of the country they come from in the West towards the country they're visiting currently, right? So they don't put the full circle around. They don't put it two to two together, right? And, you know, they complain about the lack of development instead of just being like, okay, this is where they are based off the situation they find themselves in. You know, I see the investment, I see the opportunity. Because to be honest, the lack of development in Africa is an opportunity for African Americans. Everything that's wrong with Africa, right, as far as infrastructure, is an opportunity. I don't look at it as something to run away from, something to be ashamed about. I look at it as an open air sandbox of opportunity that, if with the right skills, right, a little bit of luck, right, and the right motivation and patience, any African American with a little bit of money to invest can establish themselves legitimately in Africa, and they don't have to rely on other African Americans giving them super chats and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't got to rely on trying to coerce a bunch of African Americans to come to Africa to go on some tour they put together. Instead, they can build a hotel, right, where they can provide real, legitimate brick and mortar services to African Americans when they come over there. That's the type of business. Those are the type of people you should listen to. Listen to the people that went to Africa, established businesses in Africa, that employs Africans, that pays Africans, that benefits Africans, right? When you got a person that have proven that they've able to do that, that's the person you should listen to when it comes to how you should move in Africa. Don't listen to somebody who's trying to make their success in Africa, right, off the backs of your desire to be successful in Africa, because they're looking for your money to make their dreams come true. They have never made their dreams come true. So don't take it. So don't allow somebody to build their dreams off the backs of you wanting to build yours, right? Listen to those who have built their dreams and their dreams have become reality, and they're teaching you reasonably how to duplicate what it is that they do. All right. So I just wanted to give that little bit of information out to all those who are interested in going to Africa, because I understand for every one FBA, there's 100 African Americans looking to find a way to get to Africa, to get a foothold, to step, either be it buying a piece of land, building some businesses, maybe finding a lady or a man to marry, some companionship. There's all kinds of people looking to go to Africa to make connections. And we have to stop letting our desires, right? We got to stop letting our desires to commune and connect and do business with Africans. We got to stop allowing ourselves to fall in the traps of those African Americans who are already over there looking to take our sentiments, right, to their bank account. All right. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something, and I'm out.
Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan, boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.